Hi guys! So today and this week we're going to focus on place value, and a lot of it's going to be a review, but this is really important information that you really have to have nailed down before moving on to next year. So Miss Court and Miss Wishart and I decided that this was a really important thing that we make sure that we go back through and extend your understanding on before the year ends. So today in part one, we're going to focus just on our place value system, what block form is, what unit form is, and what standard form is. And then later on in subsequent parts or parts that come after this, we're going to talk about some other ways that we can express numbers in our place value system. So I'm going to start out with a review of things from second grade, and then I'm going to extend it to what you're expected to know in third. And then going forward, of course. So we're going to start with reviewing. So we learned in second grade, or we should have learned in second grade, that our place value system has different places. Each of these digits are in a different place. Okay, so we know that this is the ones place. Sometimes it's called the units place, just depending on what book you're looking at or kind of where people learned about the place value system. Most of the time, though, it's called the ones. Okay, so that's when we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those are all digits that fit in the ones place. Now what happens when we go past 9 is that we get to 10. And so our next place is the tens place. Sometimes those are called rods. The actual picture themselves, they're called rods. Okay? Those are tens, so we skip count them by tens instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we would call this 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. And I guess I should go back here and label this 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what happens when I get past 70, 80, 90? I end up in the next place over, which is called the hundreds place. Sometimes these are referred to as flats. And those are ones that we skip count by 100. So this is 100, 200, and 300. Again, this is a review from second grade. If you look super duper closely, my unit right here, or my 1, there are 10 of them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's why that is a 10 or a rod. And if you look super closely over here, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that's in the rod. You can see we have 1 rod, 2 rods, 3 rods, 4 rods, 5 rods, 6 rods, 7 rods, 8 rods, 9 rods, 10 rods, which if we skip counted would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So if I'm looking at this number, I have 3 hundreds, 6 tens, and 4 ones. 3 hundreds is the same as 100 plus 100 plus 100, which we know is 300. And if I have 6 tens, that's the same as 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, which we know equals 60. And then over here we have 4 ones, which would be 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which we know equals 4. So that's the quick review from second grade. Let's practice it a couple times and then we're moving on. So if I have my number 517, we know already that this is the ones place, this is the tens place, this is the hundreds place. Now instead of pulling out actual blocks, I can also draw. I choose not to do a super detailed drawing because that's a waste of my time. I can do just a nice quick sketch that's neat enough for me to understand. So for hundreds, let me start on the other end. For ones, it's super easy for me. I just draw X's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you'll see in a minute why I choose X's instead of squares. For tens, I don't draw rectangles, I just draw a straight line. So I have 110. And then over here, for hundreds, I draw a square. 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason that I choose to do the X's over here in the ones place is so that I don't have to be super careful that they don't mix up with my hundreds. So instead of trying to make sure that I have a little square and a big square, I choose to do an X and a square. And then that way it's easily differentiated. I can tell for sure. So this would be 7 ones, 110, and 5 hundreds. Oops, yes. Another way to look at that is to say that I have 500. I have 10 and I have 7. Okay? So that's kind of basic review from second grade. Let's do one more of those. Again, we have the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. I don't know if you can hear it, but my husband and my neighbor are cutting down branches in the backyard, and I can hear them cutting them with the chainsaw. I don't know if you can hear them. Okay, so I've got 9 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I don't have any tens, so I'm going to leave that blank. And I've got 2 hundreds. 100, 200. So this is 200, this is 0, and this is 9. Okay. So we've talked about ones and tens and hundreds. We talked about how when we get to 10 tens, we have a 10 or a rod, right? We talked about that back here. When I end up with 10 of these, I kind of jump over here to this next place because when I put 10 rods together, I end up with a flat. So what happens? Can you hear that? I can hear that. He's looking at me with a guilty face because he opened the door when I told him not to. Okay. What happens when I put 10 rods together? I'm sorry, 10 flats together. Here I've got 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. What comes after that? I don't have 1,000. I have 1,000. So there's a new block for that. And that block is called 1,000, 1,000, sometimes referred to as a cube. And you can see in the picture, here are the flats. Here's the first flat, and then on top of it is the next flat. And they stack them up kind of like a cake. 3 flats, 4 flats, 5 flats, 6 flats, 7 flats, 8 flats, 9 flats, and here's the 10th flat. So if I was counting, this would be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, and whoopsie, 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 and I don't want that text box there, that's on my way. And one, oh my goodness, I did it again, you guys. And I'm gonna go like this, 1,000. Okay, so that's what happens when you end up with 10 hundreds. You have 1,000. So 10 hundreds equals 1,000. And if we were in the classroom, guys, I would have you stacking those up and seeing that 10 flats stacked on top of each other is the exact same size as the 1 cube or the 1,000. But since I can't put place value blocks in all of your hands, you're just gonna have to trust me that 10 flats together makes a cube like this. So I've built a number here. There are 3 different types of forms that we're going to talk about today. We've got block form, unit form, and standard form. And you're probably thinking, why do I need to know all of that? The reason is, and we're only focused on this week, is that there are various or many different ways to express a number in our place value system. We can draw the blocks, we can build it. So block form, I think build it. And do you notice I see the B and the B? So block form means build it. So that's what I have here. Okay, so if I went in and labeled that, I would have 1,000, 2,000, and then I'd have 100, 200, 300, 400, then I'd have 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now that's block form. I guess I just labeled that twice by accident. Now if I'm doing unit form, that means I have to understand it. What do each of those blocks represent? Well, that means that I have 2 thousands. I've got 4 hundreds. I have 5 tens, and I have 8 ones. So really what I'm showing is that I understand what this picture shows me. I built it with blocks, and I understand what each of those blocks is. And then the last form, standard form, is really how do I see it and say it? So if I have 2,000s, 2,000, 458. That's really just how is the number seen when I write it out. And how do you say it? You say 2,458. And here's a tip for you. You only say the word thousand when there's a comma. So 2,458. So I built it with block form. I showed that I understood it with unit form. And then I said it the way I see it with standard form. Do you see kind of the alliteration that's going on here? Block, build, unit, understand, standard, see and say. The alliteration helps me remember. Let's practice. So here I've got my place value chart, and inside of it I have a number. So the first thing I need to do is I need to draw it. So I'm going to draw out 8 thousands. So the way I draw thousands, I can't draw a cube. I could if I wanted, but I kind of draw like this and just connect it up and it looks like a cube for me. So I've got to draw 8 of those. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a really bad picture. Now I need 9 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 4 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see how they match? I've got 8 of these, 9 of these, 7 of these, 4 of these. Okay, so now I got to write out what are each of those. So I have 8 thousands. I've got 9 hundreds. I've got 7 tens. And I have 4 ones. So that makes 8,974. Let's do another one. Okay. 5 thousands. Okay. 0 hundreds, so I don't draw any. 1 10 and 3 ones. So I have 5 thousands. 0 hundreds. 1 10, 3 ones. So that is 5,000, 0 hundreds, and 13. Okay, your turn. I want you to pause, draw it, write out to show me you understand it, and then see it, say it, write it. I want you to pause, do it, and then come back and check your work. All right, my friends. So here you have it. I've got my 4,000s, my 200s, my 3 tens, and my 9 ones. I wrote that out. 4,000s, 200s, 3 tens, 9 ones. And I would say that as 4,239. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and you're going to go do the first part of your slideshow. It's just a few slides where you're going to practice identifying a number based on its block form, its unit form, and its standard form. I will see you back here for part 2.